Welcome to Mind Your Business with Cyrus, Webb,
and Earl Hall.
There are things every business owner talks about.
These two business owners and friends
talk about those things and so much more.
Get ready to laugh and learn. Mind Your Business starts now.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mind Your Business here on IG and YouTube. I'm Cyrus Webb. Also, welcome you all into our special project as well. Going to be joined here in just a moment with our co-host, Earl Hall. We're here to be able to talk not only about business, but also friendship, entrepreneurship, and of course, to get your thoughts as well. If you guys are new to us here, make sure you do give us a follow so you can stay connected with all the other projects that we're involved in. Pele, hello to you. Good to be able to see you, my friend. Hope all is well with you. Glad you could join us live today. And also, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop those in too. Earl Hall, how you doing, sir?
Man, Cyrus Webb, I'm doing good. How about yourself, my friend?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. Doing amazing. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, look, excited about today's show. Definitely. I think it's pronounced Dravon. Hello to you. Hope all is well with you. Excited about today's show, Earl, and it's hard to believe we're almost at the end of season 1.
Wow.
Of this. We have just 2 more episodes after this, and then of course we're going to do a wrap up. If we don't get canceled, we'll do a wrap up as we get ready for our break going into season 2. But before we get into today's show, I'm curious, Earl. We didn't talk about this, but that's kind of the way we do this anyway. What has this experience been like for you?
Pele Inspire. Hey there.
Hey, what has this experience been like for you, Earl, to come on each week to talk business, friendship, and all the stuff in between?
Well, the business talk has been good. The friendship has been, but actually, what it has done, it has helped me even each week to focus, because the topics have been very good. We always, reference the first one. Business success is personal. Right. That's almost a daily saying that we say. But the subsequent topics, I feel like they've helped me to focus during the week on certain things and aspects of my own business to help me further that. So it's been a very good experience. We should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree, which is why you should listen to me more often. So Pele says, yes, focus. But you're right. I mean, I've enjoyed it as well. The topics have been great. And for those who don't know, before we get into today's topic, the way this goes is Earl and I, when we first came up with the concept for Mind Your Business, we wanted it to be as real as possible. So Earl came up with his topics. I came up with my topics. And then what we did is we're alternating week after week. So that's why you see sometimes I'll be taking the top frame, Earl will take the top frame in the alternate weeks, because that's how you know the topics. That also will let you know who consistently has the best ones. You can tell that whose topic it was by who was up. I'm just giving you guys a hint. I'm not saying anything about either one of us. I'm just saying.
We can look at the numbers of, the number of views.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is true. But today's topic, it was actually my choice. And I wanted to choose something because, one of the criticisms I get, Earl, there's many, believe it or not.
Oh, no.
But one of the criticisms I get is that I seem to always be going and growing and all of this. Now, why that would be a criticism, I think that's a topic for another day. But the topic for today, though, is how to get used to being uncomfortable, which is something that I and a lot of people have problems with. So I'm going to talk about my own experience, and then Earl will let you chime into about this, because I think what we all have heard, especially as entrepreneurs, about the importance of thinking outside the box, right? That's how we're able to do. Now, I don't have a problem with that part. But what I do have a problem with is if I have found success in an area and that's working for me, I have more often than not just stayed in that lane instead of building on that.
Definitely.
Now, I tell people all the time, could I be bigger than I am? Of course I could. A lot of people could. I know for myself, it's self-limiting beliefs and perimeters I put on myself because I am comfortable where I am. I'm comfortable in this space that I'm in. Mm-hmm. This space has brought me success, don't get me wrong, but I do understand that you do have to make yourself uncomfortable. Now, I think Earl will tell you, Earl's known me now a decade, I have pushed myself the past 2 years outside of my comfort zone more than I probably have the past 8 years. And that's because I understand that, okay, what has worked for me has gotten me here.
Right.
But what's going to get me further? And that's what I've had to kind of grapple with. So, Earl, I want to ask you, Pele says, how to get used to be uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the topic. So, Earl, what about you? Has this been an issue for you? Or have you always been someone who's been able to keep pushing even when things feel uncomfortable?
Well, the topic of being uncomfortable, I don't know that bothers me or scares me.
Okay.
I'm a doer, so I just do, and I go in certain directions, right, sometimes wrong with that. But I think there's this term that you said before, entrepreneurs talk about thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
2 decades ago, a little over 2 decades ago, I stopped saying that.
Okay.
And it was when I started my first company, which was an engineering firm. And I stopped saying think outside the box, and I said now you got to think, this is 1999, okay, that I'm talking about. I started saying you have to create your own box. It's like thinking outside of the box is like, to me, if I can make a visual, you've got the box, so now you're outside of the box and you're thinking outside of that box. Well, why are you thinking outside of that box? You're thinking outside because what's in the box ain't working, or it needs to be changed. So now you're outside of the box. So now it's time to create something else that's going to work better for you. But now being uncomfortable with being comfortable with being uncomfortable is the thing that can start to excite you, because you know when you start feeling uncomfortable. Now that can be a sign to say, okay, keep pushing through, or it could be something to tell you to slow up a little bit.
Yeah.
But you have to think through those things so that you can see, is this just a self-limiting belief, or is this a warning for me to go a different direction with that? And as an entrepreneur, you're in complete control of every move that goes on. And that in itself can be scary, especially when you're coming from like a corporate world where everything is kind of like, okay, this is how it is. I'm going to get my paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm going to get my benefits and all that. As an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. That's basically it. So if you don't kill, you don't eat. You know, so being uncomfortable, that scary feeling, and I haven't had it for a minute, but having that scary feeling is a thing that can, for me, it can really excite me, because I know that something is about to happen. And so many times I think people, they look at challenges, they look at adversity, or if you want to call it bad luck or whatever, and they think that that's something wrong. But in this journey, all of those obstacles will come. And you've heard me reference the book by Ryan, I can't remember his last name, The Obstacle is the Way. And so many times people look at the obstacle, and instead of busting through the obstacle, they turn around because they don't want to face the obstacle. But so many times on the other side of that obstacle, that adversity, that pain, whatever, that's your journey. And getting through those things has to be. So you're going to be uncomfortable a lot in this journey as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. If you are dedicated to that, there are going to be plenty of situations where you're uncomfortable. You know why, Cyrus?
Why is that?
Because there's no one else to blame but you. There's no one else that is to blame but you, the success or the failure.
Such a good point. And when you were just talking, one thing that came to my mind is, now I talked about for myself. Now, again, everyone's going to have a different perspective of this. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong.
Nice wallpaper, by the way.
Well, thank you. This is a new company that I'm working with.
I love it.
Amazon.
I love it.
Thank you very much. Hello, Melissa.
Hey,
this
Melissa.
is new. This is new from this weekend, and you all will be seeing more of this when it comes to IG Lives and YouTube. So, yes, it's very clean look. It's self-adhesive. Really easy to be able to stick. You just
the infomercial. Oh my gosh.
No, you brought up the wallpaper, which I knew he would, y'all. I knew, which would give me an opportunity to talk about. This is a peel and stick, one roll, and I still have some left over, by the way. Ask me about
I've been wearing this all day. Ain't nobody asked me about my podcast yet. I wore it in the store. I wore it at the gas station. I've only had one person since I've had this shirt in the past year ask me. They said, "Hey, you got a podcast?" Yes, I do.
Earl, I'm going to ask you about your podcast after we finish talking about today's topic. But for those of you just coming in, you all are watching Mind Your Business. I'm Cyrus Webb up here. Down there is Earl Hall. We're talking about the topic today on episode number 9.
Wow. How
to get used to being uncomfortable. So what we're basically are talking about, Paperman Ton, hello to you, man. Good to be able to see you. We have to catch up soon. But what we're talking about today is how, as entrepreneurs, the danger of not pushing ourselves past our comfort level. But as Earl was talking about, which is an interesting way, this is an interesting thing, Earl, what you said, because you kind of talked about it in some ways that sometimes it can be a safety for us. Now, it's interesting, of course, for people who don't know me, I rarely do this, but I have a movie reference I like to bring up.
Rarely brings up
I rarely talk about movie references and TV references, but the whole X-Men franchise comes to mind with this topic because they are all about. Earl, you okay? You got a headache? You're having flashes? You having flashes?
They don't know how many times a week I hear X-Men references. But go ahead.
This is very important because in X-Men Apocalypse, when the X-Men are trying to help save the world, one of the things that is the conundrum for the young X-Men is they could not fully control their powers. They knew they had powers. They knew they had abilities, but they could not completely control them. And the character Mystique says to them, don't worry about trying to control them. And I think that's the thing that happens for myself. And I said this to Earl and I've said it to Melissa and others. For me, the reason why I have problems being uncomfortable because I do everything with the end in mind. And I already know how my mind works. My mind is I'm a very simple guy. And I know sometimes if I do something, I already know the power of that thing and I know what it's going to do. And a lot of times I'm just not ready for it. So I choose to stay in an area that I am comfortable with.
You do that.
Because I'm able to still be successful. Yes, I'm not doing this, but I'm good where I am. I think the thing what I've had to push myself is to realize, and Earl and I talk about this a lot, I understand more and more a disservice that I'm doing, though. Not for myself, but for my audience in doing that. Because I have abilities that I am not fully sharing because of my own comfort level. And it's abilities that could help other people. And it's always about the people. I mean, as far as entrepreneurs, it's always about the people. So, Earl, what would you say to somebody, though, who, because I think, Earl, you and I can talk about this. Talk about the time when you and I met a decade ago. One of the big things that was not there was social media. Imagine what would have happened to you, Earl, 10 years ago if you did not embrace the question marks that was social media.
That's the thing, because when you think back to around 2006, 2007, when we met, and both Facebook and YouTube were just starting, right? They were just becoming popular. We were still in the days of, this is a fad. This is not going to last. Any serious business owner is not online. They're not on social media. And we see how that has blown up in everyone's face. Good, bad, or indifferent. Social media is here. It is the current state of the internet. It is social media, that we're on. Even if you go to a website, they still want you to go to their social media. They got those links there. So if it had not been for the embracing of social media and taking advantage of the tools that were there, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. Right. But here's the thing that I think we realize now. Well, I think you and I realize, I think a lot of people don't still yet realize the power of social media and how it works. You have the ability, look at what we're doing right now. We're live. Anyone can see us. And it's free. Right? We're not on a TV station. We're not, we didn't have to go out and get a production guy. We don't have camera guys and lighting. Well, I have lighting and I can have cameras. I don't know what you have over there, but the simplicity of being able to use an iPhone, or, you know, whatever everyone else uses to get online, you can still do that in a free manner.
I can use it, iPhone, Android, whatever you want to use. Well, I'm here. I'm with the people, Earl.
Yeah.
I don't limit myself. You know, I have the iPhone here. I have the Android.
And so with the advent of...
I want you to pick up your phone and do this right now. Yours is on the tripod right now. I have one of 6 on a tripod. But I'm sorry, Earl. I'm sorry. That was...
With grabbing on and latching on to social media, we both know there's still people that have not grabbed it by the horns.
Right.
It's right there in front of them, but they have yet to grab it by the horns. I know that. Oh, thank you, Melissa. Oh my gosh. Yes. Where's that one at, Cyrus? Where's that
Earl,
one? Where's that?
Earl, before you were so rudely interrupted by that comment, that one about the flag. But you were talking about people who haven't, yeah, iPhone in the house. But when you look at like even what you've gradually come to do, just 2 short years ago, like you were not the person you are now, as far as especially wanting to be in front of the camera, right? But you had to embrace that. That's what your audience wanted. Yeah. You weren't comfortable with it. I don't know that you yet are, but you know it's necessary. Right.
So that's a part of breaking through, or being comfortable being uncomfortable, knowing that that's the direction that you have to go, even if you have to do videos with a phone that has tape on it, or whatever. So
okay, so you know, I just want the record to show
we're going to be serious at some point.
I've been serious the whole 17 minutes
in our conversations. Oh my
but
goodness.
No, but that is an interesting point, though, and I think that's the whole reason why this topic I think is important. One, again, I think this is something all entrepreneurs have to ask themselves. If I'm not growing, one thing, is it because I've gotten too comfortable in doing what I was doing? You know, Melissa Banks, even though she's taking little shots at me, I want to give her a compliment, because that's just the kind of Christian I am. I want to give her a compliment. Melissa has grown a business and that is nowhere near what it was 20 years ago. And she would not have been able to do that if she had not embraced all the things that are out there right now, including new media like social media and those kind of things. And I think that's the whole thing.
Remember when it was called new media? Remember? Yeah. A lot of people probably don't remember. We used to call it new media.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, but if you're not where you want to be, and now here again is the problem, if you want to call it that I have. Where I am now is a good place. It's a good place. Again, I found success in this place. Very happy, very content. And that lies where the danger is. Because when you get content, then you're not looking for opportunities to grow. Which means you're going to be comfortable. And I think that is the thing. That's why I had the topic, you know, as an entrepreneur, should you get used to being comfortable? And I think the answer, even I know the answer is no. Now, to me, being comfortable is different than being at peace. Like, I'm at peace now.
Yeah.
If I didn't go any higher, if I didn't make any more money than what I'm making right now, I'm at peace. Now, as an entrepreneur, though, should I be comfortable with that? That, I think, is a personal question.
Going back to success is personal.
Right. But what I do realize that if the question is, though, this is where it's not personal. Because if the question becomes, why aren't I growing? Why haven't I done this? Well, then you have to ask yourself, have you gotten comfortable? Have you gotten comfortable so that you're not doing what it takes to get that thing that you're wondering why you don't have it? And I think that is where it becomes a conundrum. So I will talk about a regret, because I do have regrets. And one of the biggest regrets I've made, I think, is a habit that I have personally, I can say this personally, is that I will shut things down pretty quickly. Like someone will say something to me and I'll say no. There's no, I mean, because I kind of make up my mind. Again, if they're talking, is this going to be good? Is this going to be bad for me? That kind of thing. And I'll say no. There have been some things I looked at and I think to myself, okay, you know what? I think I may have made a mistake. A great example, Earl, I don't think you know this, was when it comes to working with Sea Murder. When I was first given the opportunity, I did not think that was on brand for me. I was answering in ignorance, which I can admit, as a lot of people did, which is why I was so glad that he wanted to work with me even after this. When I first heard he had a book out, someone asked him if I was going to read the book. I said no. Because you have to think, I wasn't really into hip hop. I didn't know what the book was about. So if someone had told me what the book... Say again?
You're still not into hip hop, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, but he wrote a book, and it's a really good book. So, but then when someone said, Cyrus, you really should, because I'm the kind of person, Earl knows this, Melissa knows this. If someone says to me, Cyrus, because I know they know me, they say, Cyrus, you really should reconsider this. And I did, and I read the book, and I ended up writing him in prison. I wasn't in prison; he was in prison. And I just wanted to clarify because
well, you do have orange on. Are you okay? Are you?
This is a new brand that I'm working with, and actually it's really good with this new wallpaper that we have. This peel and stick wallpaper looks really good. It tested well, so that's why we. But I wrote Sea Murder in prison, and I said to him, I really love this book. I would love to work with you. Now, that was uncomfortable because he was in prison. Yeah. And he wrote me back and said he was aware of who I was. Imagine that. This is around the time you and I met. This is 2007.
Okay.
So, and that kind of led to some other things that ended up getting me the side eye from some people. I ended up being called some things because I wrote the judge and asked for him to be able to come to. That became a big thing. But the main thing was I believed in it enough. I had never done that before. But you know what that gave me? Again, going to the whole point of this conversation and this topic. I have never done that before. I had never wrote a judge before on the record. I've never reached out to anybody about, reached out and said, okay, you know what? I want to bring you here, and I know I may get some flack for this because, and all of that. But I was willing to do it. And do you know we sold almost 300 books that weekend?
Wow.
Almost 300 books we sold. And it was one of the best experiences. And it gave me street cred. I think it's faded over those years, I think, but now that I'm wearing the orange. But I think that's an example of where it paid off for me to be uncomfortable because it was totally new for me to do that. So that's why I say for people, I never could have imagined that happening and the things that would happen afterwards. The Chicago Tribune interviewing me and all of these things that happened because I did something that was unlike what I would typically do. And it was uncomfortable, right? And I think, too, Earl, is about the unknown, right? So how would you reconcile those two? Do you think a lot of it is being uncomfortable with what the result may be or just the unknown of what the result may be? What do you think it is when it comes to
For me, it's the unknown of what will be. But I've grown to not fear that.
Okay.
It's like, because, look, Cyrus, fear can paralyze you.
Yeah.
Right? And people say, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, any decision can go right or wrong. And that's what we live by is every decision we make. Right? So if you never make a decision and never allow yourself to fail, because you will, okay? Or maybe not fail, but not have the outcome that you were hoping for or looking for. It may not work out, but I'm just using failure as a generic term. Mm-hmm. So you may fail, but you may also succeed. Mm-hmm. But that's every choice in life. It's that fork in the road. That is every decision that we make. And people stymie themselves or halt themselves and live a life of unsatisfaction because they're scared to just make a decision.
Yeah.
And whatever decision you make, if you want to consider it a wrong decision because it didn't work out that way, it's still valuable. It is still valuable to go down that path, see how, because the next time you'll know better what to do. But if you never do it, you never move forward. You never get beyond the fear. And it is that thing that holds so many people back, because I've seen it and I've talked to these people and they just won't make a decision. You know, do you want to make $10,000 this month? Sure. Okay, well, let me show you how. Well, I don't know if I should do that. Okay. Well, why? Well, I don't know if it's going to work. Well, I don't either, because I don't know if you're going to do the work.
Right.
I don't know either. I'm just telling you what's happened for me, what's happened for X client, X client, X client. I don't know what your results are going to be because, one, you can't make a decision to do it. And two, I don't know if you're going to actually do it.
Yeah.
You know, and people are looking for this guarantee in life. Baby, there ain't none.
Yeah. Earl and I were just talking about this. We were just talking about this today about the results. It all boils down to the results, what the person chooses to do. So that's why I think this is such a great topic. So I think, you know, for me, what I would say to the audience, Earl, is this. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you not where you want to be because of levels you put on yourself or obstacles and barriers you put on yourself? You know, have you locked yourself in a cage? I talk about that sometimes in my motivational messages. But sometimes you have locked yourself, you're holding the key, but you have closed the door on your own cage and kept yourself because this is what you're comfortable with.
And you know what else, Cyrus? I'm sorry, I know I cut you off a lot, but you make some good points. People are even scared to make the decisions based on what they think other people will think of them before making that decision, and whether or not they succeed or fail in it, because then that other person is going to be able to talk about them. Really?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
What is Iyanla Van Zandt? Put your big girl panties on. All right, and let's go do this thing. Because what they're doing or what they're talking about does not affect your pocketbook one iota. What did you say to me last week? It does not affect my salvation in any way.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. We got a good question here. How do you make calculated risk? Now, I'm going to answer this my way, Earl, but feel free to chime in. So for me, and this is, I think, a personal thing. But I think even calling something a calculated risk is personal. Because for myself, what other people may look at as a calculated risk may be a post away from me. You know, I mean, because I know what I'm capable of with my audience and with my abilities. So I would say to this, first of all, identify, is it really even a calculated risk, or is it just doubt that you have on whether or not you can do it or not? I think that becomes the bigger thing. Now, I don't have that problem. I don't have the problem about doubt. I have the problem of the success of the thing, because then it's like, okay, wait a minute. If this works, I'm going to have to change what I'm used to doing. Yeah. And I've had people call me out on stuff. You know, there's some things I'm known for saying, and people don't call me out on it. And I think to myself, no, I'm still that person. But they don't see me as that person because of what has happened. Yeah, I am a country boy from Mississippi. If you can't listen to this and tell I'm a country boy, I mean, I know the background may not tell you I'm from Mississippi, but I'm
questioning the background, and now because of the orange, that's not like the day room at the prison. That is actually you're at home.
This
okay. I just have questions.
This is one of my many rooms in my home. So I don't have to worry about people walking behind me when because I live by myself. You know, this is my room.
Do we have to push the camera back like in the Martha Inc. and you see the jails, the bars? Do we have to push the camera back?
No, only to read your shirt, because right now it's cut off. See, Earl makes me do this. I really try to behave myself. I try to behave, but you see what Earl does? Earl picks on me. You know how the bullies do. They'll pick on you.
Oh, I'm not a bully. Do you see these dimples? How can I be a bully with these dimples? Come on.
They can see. They can see. Okay, Earl, I want you to address this calculated risk question.
The calculated risk thing, Cyrus, and I think you'll appreciate this. if you do put your audience first and know what it is that they need and require, and know that your skill set can help them, where is the risk in that? I know what the audience, I know who the audience is, I know what it is that they want, and I have this skill set, and I'm going to help them in this way. And this is what I'm going to do. So, and I agree with you, Cyrus. When people say calculated risk, sometimes it's almost like, do I have what it takes? Mm-hmm. Do I really believe in myself enough to do that? Because a lot of times when people say calculated risk, I think money, right? If I spend money on this. But is the calculated risk your embarrassment or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Is that the calculated risk? Will I be embarrassed by this if it doesn't work? Sweetheart, who cares? Mm-hmm. Keep it moving.
That's it. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. I can't believe we have 2 more episodes in this season. Earl, this has been a lot of fun. Earl, before we go, why don't you tell us about your podcast?
Oh, my gosh. MYB, as we so lovingly call it, Mind Your Business. It's one of the best times I have during the week. And then, of course, Cyrus, you know I do my live stream podcast every Friday for my voiceover audience crew over at youtube.com/Earl Studio. And then you can also find that on Anchor as an audio podcast, as well as Amazon. It's on Amazon now as our friends at Amazon, you know, and on my friends at Apple Podcasts. But anywhere you want to grab that audio podcast, you definitely can. It's just called Steps to Voiceover Success. So those are my 2 podcasts. And you guys know all about MYB because you're sitting here looking at me right now on Mind Your Business with that guy.
That's right. So Earl would be leading the conversation next week. We'll be talking about what are your favorite apps and gear that you use. Earl is definitely the apps and gear person. So, you know, that's his thing. I know Instagram confines him because he can only use the phone. So I know he has that junkie itch that he gets. He gets a rash.
Well, I keep thinking about adding a mic and all, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep it simple. You know, for
simple is a great thing. But I do want to remind people that November is National Entrepreneurship Month. So make sure you guys are going out there. You are being able to not only to share your business, looking for ways to grow your business, but also to let people know what services you have that be able to help them, because it is about who you're able to serve. So hopefully you'll be out there serving your audience, no matter who that audience may be. We'll be back here with you guys next week. Until then, though, Earl, always a pleasure, man.
Always a pleasure, most of the time. Always. Yes.
Angela, thank you so much. Same here. Angela, thank you so much for being on with us. And you guys make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.